Hello, don't be intimidated by the video. I suggest you listen to the audio. This is a message for an impromptu, so to speak, message. This is about money, so use logic. It's about money, so please use logic. Uh, this is a message for and or inspired by Aaron McDaniel of Tycoon Real Estate, whom I just saw a part, the initial part. I stopped and I didn't even wait for the rest. I watched the initial couple of minutes, a few minutes or so, of Aaron McDaniel's presentation on Shark Tank Season 6, Episode 16. I love Aaron, but again, this goes to anybody that's into this. Aaron, I love your premise and what you want to do. And I encourage, with the online investment forum, pull people together. What I suggest you do is you go to theinternetmarket.com and understand that all I have to do before we reach an agreement and any money is exchanged is remove uh, everything that I do not have a copyright on, which right now it's a reference to a comic book character, which is part of a narrative that I'm writing. But if I remove that, I can put all of the domain names for sale. Now, for many years, since I first purchased my first domains, I was looking at the next generation of domain name investments, and I look at it as real estate. You may or may not be familiar with domain names, but you might want to do some research in terms of domain name sales and understand that I'm a pioneer thinker. The first generation of uh, internet real estate was when all the one word domains got taken up. So whether it's sex.com, insurance.com, cars.com, shoes.com, and so on and so forth. And what has happened over the past, probably we can round it off to a few years, maybe 10 years or so, but um, dot coms have lost a lot of value due to Google, because it used to be that if you were going to look up shoes on the internet, one of the first things that would happen as far as your search results is it'll take you to the name of the domain name, shoes.com, for example. I'm oversimplifying things, and I do not claim to be an expert in some sense, but I can claim to be an expert in some other sense. And what's happened with the smartphones, before we had smartphones that were connected to the internet, and you can see the statistics about how much people have gone away from the computer and moved on to the smartphone. What has happened now, mostly because of Google, is how I look at it, is that now when you type shoes, it's not going to give you shoes.com. One of the factors has also been that Google has made their, what used to be the search field, what used to be the address field where you would type the address, HTTP, do you remember the old commercials? Visit us at HTTP colon double slash www.blah.com. Okay. Kids nowadays don't even realize that Facebook has an address. It's facebook.com. So if you say, hey, I'm Jane Smith on Facebook, what people don't realize is, number one, there's, believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize that it's all dependent on facebook.com. And if your profile is Jane Smith, you're going to be at http colon double slash facebook.com/Jane Smith or something like that. Another aspect that I thought actually was where my strength is going to be is that if you talk to people that consider themselves experts in the field, they will completely discourage you from phrases uh, because historically and somewhat understandably, one-word domains were the hot thing. I think that's a huge mistake to dismiss phrases. The potential of phrases. I used to own phrases.com and phrasescentral.com, and then I'm on a limited budget, and I had to kill some websites. So I think I might even have only one of them left, but I still have close to 200 domain names. 90% of them are phrases that I encourage you to think about. So start thinking. I invite you to start thinking in terms of getting very creative with domains, partnering up, start doing the math. I have a lot of creative ideas about a lot of things that we could do. And when I saw the first couple of minutes, I thought, well, if this guy says, Jared, I can do what I'm doing or want to do, I'm going to have to see what happens at the end of the Shark Tank and maybe look up your company. I haven't done that yet, but I have a lot of real estate. It just happens to be digital. Thank you for your time and attention. I believe in phrases. And the one thing that I guess it was leading up to, and I almost forgot, is that you have to look at peaks, valleys, evolution, change. The internet, the World Wide Web is maybe a quarter of a century old, perhaps a little more. Now we're going through the smartphone phase, which I think is obviously going to continue because people want portable devices. But to give you an idea, right now we started this thing that's very funny, but could have potential about pussy on strike. I'm in Italy right now. It's called Lo Sciopero della Fica, and uh, there's ways that you can get around having to go through an expensive SEO search engine optimization business, which SEO search engine optimization is the thing on the internet. But there's ways you can do shit like where people look up a certain phrase and you'll be number one on Google. So right now, if you look up Lo Sciopero della Fica, L-O space SCIOPERO space della SDELLA space Fica FICA, we're number one on Google. We only have 20 views, which are 19 of them are mine and my friends, but the fact is we're number one. And you want to be on top of the results. I turned off a lot of videos that had the way to enable things to be number one on Google because I made 95% of my videos private. But it used to be that if you would look up fantasy reality Nintendo, I'd be number one on Google. Not that people would do that, but you'd have to get them to look up fantasy reality Nintendo. If you looked up Tyra smartphone, I was the number one on Google, Yahoo, Bing, all search engines, regardless of whether you cleared your browser, cache in your browser and you were in Uganda or whatever. But it's like, and despite the fact that I turned off the videos that led to it, I'm probably still to the point where if you look up we direct traffic on the internet, which is a very, 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 very important phrase that has profound consequences given the right circumstances, not to mention the internet market and so on and so forth, where everyone can have enough to eat. I'm big into a world where everyone has enough to eat. But whether it's a social cause or a new sport or something like that, where was I going? If you think about the meaning of the internet market, if you think about the meaning of redirect traffic on the internet, if you think about the potential of what you could do with iwannafuckyup.com or betterfastest.com, or you could take any one of the domain names. And as I describe in one of the things that I recommend what you do is if you go to modellandcards.com and you click on more, and there's a page under Shark Tank stuff that talks a bit that summarizes this. But the one thing that you want to keep, a couple of things that you want to keep in mind is that yeah, anybody can come up with the next great phrase and end up top of the search results on Google. You can do it right now. Think of phrases you want to have control of. But the first thing is that do you also have a hub called the internet market that once you go to that phrase, it'll connect to 200 more, or vice versa. Once you go to the hub, whether it's the internetmall.com or whatnot, I haven't purchased it all one word on the internetmall.com. I only purchased it with that with the dashes between the words. But the point is that you can come up with a whole bunch of phrases, but do you have the internet market hub? Do you have the center from which all these hundreds of phrases have what's the word I'm thinking of? They're like portals. Okay, I'm having a bit of a brain fart. Or like I said, if you have one thing, do you have it linked to the to such a hub? Having such a hub is something that I don't care what you invent. Sorry, I got the hub. The other thing is about well, actually two more things. One is about the phrases, and the other one is about the difference between .com and the phrase on the web. As far as the .com, as far as the phrases, like I said, think, despite the fact that experts tend to say no, phrases are not worth much. Start thinking. I do believe it's the next frontier, and you want to choose your phrase as well. Think about the possibility of phrases, and also in terms of how, like if you're in Rome, okay, if you're in LA, okay, Rodeo Drive. Would you like to have Rodeo Drive? Of course, the difference, it's an address, okay? Realty on Rodeo Drive is going to cost you a little more than on Podunk Street. Well, Podunk Street could turn out to be very successful. The difference, of course, between Rodeo Drive, the analogy ends there. The analogy is as far as the value of the real estate. As far as the name, that's different because Rodeo Drive only implies high fashion, because that's where on that street, that's where the fashion went. Just like in Rome, you go to Piazza di Spagna, the Spanish Steps, Via Condotti. There's your real estate right there. But Via Condotti or Rodeo Drive don't have a meaning, a semantic power to them. It's the shops that created the meaning of Rodeo Drive and Via Condotti and the Spanish Steps. Okay, here it's vice versa. So which address do you want to own? Which addresses do you want to invest $10 in or $1,000 in? I love the fact that you're making it accessible to everybody. It's like crowdfunding, but smarter. Because if you need, 250 grand to invest in one of the domain names, you don't have to have a millionaire that uses a quarter of their million. You can have 250 people that invest $1,000 or 250,000 people that invest a buck. I know that's getting a little science fiction, but I love giving power to the people. And with electronics, it's actually doable, believe it or not. But but the issue is not whether you limit advertisers to minimum $1,000 or not. That's more of a social economic thing. As far as the business, when you want to purchase an address and you know that it's connected to the hub, I think that the people, the quote unquote experts, with all the respect, that say that phrases are not worth a lot on the internet, find it prove quite wrong. And you could have that fight phase in history where the dot coms come back into power, as well as the search thing. You want them both combined, which brings me to the last point, which is what I was going to say, is that because the advent of the smartphone and Google using what used to be an address bar and turning it into a search field, so much so that if you type uh, sponsor anyone you like.com, it might not even lead you to the website. It might give you search results instead of leading you to the website. And in the search results, you might find the website. But when I mentioned pussyonstrike.com, by the way, the Lo Sciopero della Fica, which in Italian Lo Sciopero della Fica right now is #1 on Google, you want to have the hold of both. You want to have a hold of the search phrase, because right now that's the times we're living in, where it's not the address that counts, because you could be the owner of the best fucking thing.com, but if people Google or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo, I highly recommend people start using DuckDuckGo as a search engine, because that way you can see the results that the rest of the world would get. Whereas with Google, a lot of people are not aware that Google filters your results. So if they know you like bicycles, and they know this is the guy that likes bicycles, and you search the best fucking thing, and you search the phrase the best fucking thing on your computer, because Google knows, the bots know, or Yahoo or Bing, they know that you like bicycles, they're going to mix in the best fucking thing with bicycles. If you go on duckduckgo.com instead of Google, of course Google can flip it with a switch. Excuse me, if you go on DuckDuckGo and you search the best fucking thing, it's going to give you the results for the best fucking thing. It's not going to tell you, oh, because you like bicycles, we're going to give you the results this way, which Google doesn't tell you, but that's what it does. But you want to have a hold on both things. You want to be on top of the search results, and you want to have the .com. Why? This is where the power of the .com comes in, because every single fucking thing, I don't care if it's the last picture you uploaded or the first song you want to download, if it's on the internet, it has to have an address. There is nothing on the web, not one thing on the web, that does not have an address. And despite the fact that, an organization called ICANN, ICANN, which is the ones responsible for this type of shit, is promoting things such as .me, .biz, .this and .that, .took, .aaron. I've been saying Tyra, .platinum, .tyra for a long time. But the fact of the matter is that I think the time will show that .com is the let's not get too fancy with the terms, but after the dot, unless it's Tyra, com is what you want. .com. And everything on the since everything on the internet depends on an address, it's going to have a .com. Technology might change where the dots will go, but the way things have started and developed, you need an address. .com is like lead. It's the heaviest metal you're going to find, my friend. So that's why I did not purchase loscioperodelafica.com. I purchased pussyonstrike.com. What I did with the Italian concept, because of the context that I'm in, where we're having fun. We might have fun with it in the street, where my friend Massimo has a game that he plays, and he's got people coming in and out. So if we decide to uh, promote it, we could see whether or not the views go up. If we decide to promote it extensively or whatnot. But so you got the phrase, but you want to have your feet in both things. On this particular specific case, I got better shit to do and not enough budget, believe it or not, even though they cost me only $10. Life choices, long story, not gonna get into that now, but for the circumstances that I'm in right now, and also even if I didn't want to fucking purchase the loscioperodelafica.com. I've got other .coms that I'm more interested in. I enjoy the fact that if you look up Lo Sciopero della Fica, I'm number one on Google right now, even though I've only got 23 views, like I said, or something like that. But you want to be able to have both. Here's the thing. I don't give a fuck, excuse my fucking French, if Google has taken a lot of the power away from the domains, and CEO is dependent right now on your phrase and or word being on top of the results. It don't change the fact that you're going to need an address. And if you come to me and you say, just to give this one example, if somebody comes to me and says, well, you're number one on, you got pussyonstrike.com, I say, yeah, and I also got number one on Google with the Italian thing. Because when it comes down to it, if you go viral, where if people look up real estate, when they type the letter R, the little search thing is going to say, are you looking for real estate? And when people type R, it's going to say real estate. And lo and behold, Aaron McDaniel's face is going to be number one of the results. Well, I'm going to tell Aaron McDaniel something. You remember when Rebecca Black came out with the song Friday? Nobody was listening to it. And then a DJ said, oh my God, an internet DJ said, I think it was an internet DJ, said, oh, this girl came out with this awful song. It's called Friday, Rebecca Black. Well, lo and behold, she got up to, 300 million views? Now, granted, 70% of the views, 70% of the people clicked that it's a horrible video, but I think she made some pretty good money. I actually thought the video was kind of cool. But then 2 years, so for a while, if you type Reb, R-E-B, it'd say Rebecca Black Friday. All you have to do is type R-E-B. Or if you type Friday, F-R-I-D or whatever, it's like Friday, Rebecca Black's song. So yeah, she was number one of the results, and not with 23 views, but eventually with hundreds of millions of views. But then, Friday the 13th, the umpteenth edition came out, and she started to fade away. So there could be 3 years when your people think of real estate and on Google, because Google is our collective consciousness. Searches on the internet are our collective consciousness. If we look up the President of the United States and we get a picture of a woman in a transgender in a pink tutu, that's reality. We live in a world where the President of the United States is a transgender in a pink tutu. Why? Because check reality. It doesn't matter if you're in Bangladesh or on the fucking North Pole. If you got an internet connection, you look up the President of the United States. If that's what Yahoo, Bing, Google, DuckDuckGo tell you, that's what. See what I'm saying about shaping the reality of human consciousness? Because if the internet says it, that's what it is. However, like I said, things go through peaks and valleys. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, and on the foundations, you talk about real estate, you want to have foundations. If you own realestate.com, www.realestate.com, Maybe one year Aaron is on top of the search results. Maybe another year the transgender with the pink tutu is on top of the results when you look up real estate. But your foundations are going to be that realestate.com. I own the internet market.com. So you got to play both games. But whereas top results may come and go, and maybe 2 hours from now, if I look up Lo Sciopero della Fica, I'm not going to be at the top of the results. The internetmarket.com, I own it with 180 plus other domain names. Wouldn't it make sense for people to invest in something like that? Maybe electronically with a click. And like I said, get creative with what you can do with that. You could even have competitions about, okay, we're going to do competition for a month. You know, anythingyouLike.com with dashes between the words versus without dashes between the words, or just the one, you know. Who's going to come up with the more creative one? What are you going to do with I want to fuck you up.com? What are you going to do with sponsoring one you like.com? What are you going to do with whatever you like, the way that you like it.com? What are you going to do with wishesandmoney.com? What are you going to do with sexmoneywomen.com? What are you going to do with direct traffic on the internet.com? That's actually a game. You could have a competition, or you could have websites that for 100 years are gonna you're gonna know that that's what that brand is. There's so much room. And in case you don't know this, what people fail to understand is that internet money, the, the, the internet market, forget the internetmarket.com for now. The internet market, the reality of the internet market is advertising. Some people hate it, some people love it. You know, I've been on both I've been in both camps. You know, but that's where the money is. You know, Google is worth has been going up and down a little bit, but let's say around $400 billion. Okay, what people don't understand, and you yourself may not realize this, but that it's based. I mean, 99% of Google's revenue, if my research is right, 99% of Google's revenue is based on advertising, because traffic and money. We're talking about addresses, streets, traffic. You know, think, okay, traffic on Rodeo Drive versus traffic on another street. On the internet, traffic and money might as well be synonyms. With all the respect, I've been saying all it takes is somebody with a fucking brain and say, let's start this, let's try this, let's get the word out. And if you can invest in that shit with a click. Of course, I'm more into tips. That's another story, one step at a time.